Welcome back to South Shore Marine. I'm Will Kruger, joined by my good friend and detailer extraordinaire, Macy McFarland. Welcome, Macy. It's good to have you.
It's good to be here.
So it's probably no secret to a lot of people, but for those of you who don't know, South Shore Marine was originally founded in 1989-ish, somewhere around there, by our good friend Tom Mack, who started this company as a boat washing and detailing roaming service, right?
He did, yeah.
So the reason I bring that up is that detailing and the cleanliness of our boats is a very important thing to South Shore Marine. Is that correct?
Oh, it's number one. It is what we live for here.
So, so a lot goes into this, right? And it's not just keeping boats clean that are customers' boats, but we obviously have a lot of inventory, new boats included, right? So new boats, when they come from the manufacturer, aren't what a lot of people think they are they? I mean, they can be...
No, when boats come in from the factory, we got to go everything over with fine-tooth comb. We have to search high and low on those boats to see if we can find any imperfections and get that all straightened out.
So you start with a cleaning process, right? You kind of unwrap the boats, you go from the tip to the tail and start with a good scrub down, pressure washing if need to. I mean, in the middle of the winter, sometimes these boats come in pretty trashed, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would say the winter is got to be the worst one, especially when we have really bad weather. When they come in, there's usually an unload process that we kind of have to watch for, but then we get right to it. We start with knives and we cut them open. We're the first ones that get on those boats and we get to see them for the first time when they hit South Shore soil.
And so then you work on the kind of the high level cleaning, and then you get down to the more of the nitty gritty, right? You get into the cabin, you get into the bilges, and you're not just washing, you're compounding and buffing and...
Oh yeah, we start with the wash, and then when we get to our detailing side of it, we have a two-step buffing process. So we'll use a compound to get all the fine scratches out, and then we'll go through and we'll wax the whole boat, interior included. So your showers, your cabins, and all that stuff, we make sure it's all perfect.
And this is all leading up to, the boat hasn't even really gotten into the showroom at this point.
No. The boat's barely into one of our shops and we're all over it.
Yeah. So that's one part, right? So it gets from the hauler's trailer to one of our shops to, in your capable hands, then into the showroom. Now let's talk about boat show time, right? This is like when we got to put our best foot forward.
It is a crazy time, is boat show time. It's everybody's pedal to the metal for that kind of stuff. It's from setup to tear down, it's a whirlwind. You're
not just tearing it down and setting up. I mean, every single day you're at the boat show.
Oh yeah, a lot of early mornings with boat shows. We're up early. A lot of times we have to travel almost an hour to get to some of our boat shows. And also you have to factor in weather on top of that. We did have the IAC show the last couple of years where you're traveling in the middle of winter for these things. So you get there in the morning and sometimes you got to stand outside and wait for them to let you in. But we get right to it. We have to set up all of our wash stuff and jump on the boats as fast as we can because we're one of the dealers that have the most boats there. So when we have 5 people, you have your sections, you get your wash stuff ready, and you just get to work.
Get after it. So this year's a little different. We have a boat show in-house, which is kind of a opportunity for us to showcase more boats, and you might think that might be a little less work for you, but probably about the same anymore because we have more boats.
No, it's not only just the boats when we have in-house stuff, it's the buildings too. So we're just trying to make everything as perfect as possible. I mean, we do that on the daily, but for boat shows, it's just ramped up.
Yeah. Now it's like the other component, right? So these are just boats that people don't even own yet. And we take such good care of our customers' boats that, I mean, if you can imagine, in our facility, we have probably in the neighborhood of 300-ish boats on site. About 95% of those are customers' boats that we fully maintain, right?
Yeah. For the whole seasonal layout of things, we, from start to finish, a lot of these customer boats, we'll go through for launch. You have all the boats that are in the buildings now to where you have to get those cleaned from over the winter. Obviously, they're sitting in a building. Sometimes they get a little dusty, and then from us working on them, we get them all cleaned. We send them to the people's docks. They get to enjoy them for the summer, and then when haul out comes around,
everything in reverse.
Yeah, it's everything in reverse. But we're also trying to beat the weather. So it almost feels like a shorter amount of time to get everything in and clean before the cold strikes.
We have our team here is so impressive, and from the top down. I mean, we'll get into some other great interviews with our delivery captains and logistics guys and people on the ground around the yard and everything. But from a personal standpoint, I know how fast we move during haul out, getting these boats back to South Shore Marine, and I find it so amazing that we're able to keep up with getting these boats from the customer's dock to South Shore in your hands, cleaned, detailed, and that's just the beginning of it. Then the mechanics get on it. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation that we'll get into. But this is a hustle here every single day, and you guys are probably one of the busiest crews.
Yeah, especially for haul out, launch is a little bit easier just because, again, we're not trying to beat the cold, we're trying to beat the warm. But for haul out, we can process, like in the beginning, it's usually about 5 to 10 boats in the first couple of weeks. And then when we get into the heat of things, we're processing up to 20, 25 boats a day. And that's getting them out of the water, transferred here, tallied in, washed, mechanically serviced, and unloaded and put in a building.
It's an impressive thing, and I wish there was more exposure to this, right? I wish our customers could actually see what goes on behind the scenes, because truthfully it's a machine and an impressive thing to see. So so now we have I guess one more area of expertise, right? So we've got new boats, we've got customers' boats that are owned. We also bring in a lot of trade boats, and we bring in some boats that are customers that they want to sell them. And so when you want to sell your boat, you want to make sure it looks just as good as humanly possible, or as good as new, and sometimes better.
Yeah, and say when we get in a trade-in boat, we make them look like new. So it could be a 1997, you'd think the thing just rolled off the lot. We put in a lot of work in these boats, especially if they've been saltwater boats. So it's even more of a fine-tooth comb with those, trying to make sure that we catch everything that saltwater does to a boat, which is everything you don't want to happen to a boat.
So you're dealing with gremlins, right? People that have neglected their boats, and people that have either not waxed them properly or used the wrong compounds or what have you, and the boats are coming in oxidized. And
yeah, when they first come in, we have what's called the initial trade inspection. It's where we have a general team member go through and they search for anything right off the bat, any mechanical things, or buttons not working, any gel coat imperfections, and then we come along and we get even finer in those details. When we do our detailing with buffing, we might even have to sand things, like the names coming off. A lot of the times that it's like sunburnt, and you have to take the name off with sanding, and then you have to go through and buff it out, and sometimes you can't even tell that the name was there.
I can't tell you enough. This is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. They have some of the most incredible turnarounds from boats that have come in, as she's explaining. They're just a red boat that looks pink that comes back to life all of a sudden and becomes this, pretty shiny new boat again. I've been a boater my entire life, and I get to buff a boat once a year, and I'm constantly reminded about how much goes into
physical,
doing that.
Yes. I always say I'm going to the gym when I come to work. So.
Well, Macy, I really appreciate you joining us. We'll fist bump this out, and we'll be back with some other great interviews. Stay tuned for more with a lot of our great team here at South Shore Marine. Any more information, you want to check us out on the website, southshoremarine.com. Thanks for joining us.